Welcome to Canada, folks. Here we have April 1st. It's officially spring for 12 days now. And we have this. Yay! Alright, so I finally made it back onto the main trail. It's a lot easier to walk now. It's not that deep. All in all, I'm really happy with this adventure. Got to push myself to some new limits, and I came prepared, and the result was a successful trip. No bears. Did get some snow. Well, getting some snow right now, actually. This is pretty beautiful, actually. Take a look at this. Looks like winter doesn't want to go away. Ugh. I'm coming up on the waterfall now. Oh man, this is gonna be dangerous. I really hope it's not slippery. It's a long way down. If I had a sled, I'd just go down. I'm gonna take my time here. Looks like the snow is deeper here. I'll step here. This is where a trekking pole makes the difference. Oh, this is better. I'll just walk in the deep snow here. Just walk on the edges here. It's deeper. Less likely to slip. Okay, it's getting slippery. We're almost at the bottom. I made it.
Water's getting very hot, guys. Food's one of those things that I look forward to on every single camp as well. I am such a foodie when it comes to outdoors, and ration packs are very rare for me to use. And the reason I use them on trips like this is because you're never sure what the weather's going to do. And if I was worried about it, I could get a little stove going and boil up some water that way. I haven't actually packed my stove in my bag, it's in the car, but that's because I'm not worried. I knew today was going to be fine, or at least I hope so. It's the risk we take as bushcrafters. So I've just moved the water on top just to keep it nice and hot, and I'm actually just going to put my MRE inside of there now. So to start with, I've got a chickpea biryani, which is going to be lovely, and then straight after that I'm actually going to have my steak and dumplings because it's quite late. I didn't have lunch, and yeah, after all that adventuring today, I just put a few biscuits into me, and that kept me going. But yeah, I'm just going to have both my meals, and then I don't have to worry about keeping the fire going all evening because I think it's going to rain. So I just kind of squeeze that down to the bottom half. Give it a little turn. I'll just fold that over. Almost boiling now. Also, that sound, nothing. It can get quite intimidating sometimes when you're outside alone. Thoughts start to creep in. You start to miss people, your loved ones, especially when you're on longer trips and away from people who you're used to seeing a lot more often, you know, those daily people in your life. So for me, Ellie, my parents, my close friends, and it's yeah, you start to remember and value just how much those people mean to you, and it's well worth doing. Sometimes you can take people for granted, and you know, in the case of like my parents, my mum's from Scotland, and I do get intimidated by the thought of losing, you know, both of them people. So I don't know, I feel a strange connection to this land, and when you're alone like this, it's hard to not remember what you've got. And yeah, how thankful to my parents I am for them kind of instilling this amazing passion for the outdoors that I have. So yeah, definitely gets the old lump in your throat when you start talking about it.
Some of the probably two coolest animal sightings that I've had in the Boundary Waters. First one was September 2019 on my first solo trip. And by the way, going solo, you see way more animals, notice way more things just because you're not as distracted and you're much quieter. So that's something that I do enjoy about soloing. But in 2019, I was traveling along, not far from here actually, on Crooked Lake, right along the border, and I hear this going along right next to this island fishing. I hear this crash, crash, crash. And I see like this brown streak, and I was like, oh, that had to be a moose. It was just clomping. It sounded like a Clydesdale clomping through the forest. I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wrap around this island and see if I can see him. So I come around the island and I see this huge head and antlers swimming across the lake. And I mean, it was headed in a really, is at least a quarter mile across to the next island. So I start paddling as fast as I can. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna miss an opportunity to take some pictures of this. And I end up paddling, you know, I gave him decent distance so not to sway him one direction or the other, but paddled relatively close to him, taking pictures the whole time. And I've got a couple really great pictures from that trip of him just cruising. He keeps looking back at me and keeps trucking along, and I followed him all the way to the other island, and he walked along the shore kind of trying to find a way up. And you know, I got to spend probably, I don't know, it seemed like a really long time, probably 10-15 minutes just alongside this giant moose. So that was one encounter in the Boundary Waters that was definitely unforgettable. Second one was actually last year up here. I was on Ensign Lake with my son and my dad, and it was our second to last day. We were on our way out, and I look far, far in the distance, and I see something moving on top of a beaver hut. So I'm like, what is that? Look a little closer. It's a big black wolf jumping up and down like this, trying to smash through the beaver hut to get to the beaver. So we slowly, quietly, quiet as we can, paddle straight towards it, and it doesn't even probably see us until we're maybe 300 yards away. It kind of looks up at us, looks back down at the beaver hut a little bit, and then kind of just starts meandering along the shoreline, just more curious than anything, not scared at all. I thought for sure once it saw us it would just jet. This is like 10 o'clock in the morning. So we paddle within probably 50 yards of the shore, and it's just walking alongside of us, slowly, kind of just doing its thing, turning, looking at us. Huge wolf. I mean, definitely a big male, and black wolves are extremely rare in Minnesota too, so that made it, extra special. But it walked around, just looked at us for a while. We got to see him for probably 5 solid minutes up close, and then he just turned around and walked back into the forest. And another one that I'll never forget, and I'm glad I got to share that one. That was a good one to be able to share with my oldest son and my dad, because that was their first time too seeing a wolf. So I don't think any of us will ever forget that one. No, there's a lot to see up here. I'm nowhere near the hut. I'm nowhere near a track. And I've just found a lighter. It doesn't work.
scratched up and whatever from Victoria. Some medication. A little sack. There was a first aid kit in. Sterile, compressed for field use. It's a dressing in there. Looks old as. Is it Velcro or what is it? Tear down, so you have to tear that open. Oh. Just been for a little wander around the area and found a few bits, quite a bit of rubbish, which probably wasn't rubbish when somebody accidentally dropped it. The animals have probably been into it looks like. Because there's tape which obviously wasn't dropped on purpose, a little first aid kit, a lighter and some pills with no label on. Really is important to take everything that you bring with you, take it all home with you, you know? Don't leave any rubbish here or any other bits. That shouldn't be here. There's no one else going to clean them up. And this is way up the track, like not even on a track, it's way out in the bush. I randomly just stumbled across it. Humans leaving rubbish everywhere. Okay, so I'll show you where I've gotten to today. This was my starting point, a car park. I parked the bus up. I come back on myself and went around this zigzaggy bridle path, which was quite an incline, linked onto another track just after crossing the waterfalls, which are absolutely spectacular. That's probably the highlight of the hike at the moment. Made my way down through this track here. What's that? That's 950 meters above sea level, so that was quite steep there. I got to the plateau, which was quite nice and relieving. And then I found Whiteley's hut, that little hut we stopped at a little while ago. Now I could have turned right here and made my way to Weston's Lake and navigated around the lake. There's no track there, and got onto this trail and worked my way down here. But instead I carried on coming down here because I wanted to climb Ironstone Mountain, which I feel absolutely defeated with. The visibility was very, very poor and I could not find a track from where I wanted to head off. So I only stepped a little way into that, came back to this point where I dumped my bag, made myself down to Ironstone Lake. Since Ironstone Lake there's been no track at all, so I navigated around the right side of Ironstone Lake, and I was going to come around where these waterways are. There's like a couple little water points here, and try and get to Nameless Lake this way, but instead I went to the high ground because the terrain was terrible here. So I got onto high ground. As soon as I got up to the high ground I could see the lake, which was pretty good feeling. Now I've navigated around the lake, around the south side of the lake, and pitched up tent just here, just at the hut.
Something I learned the hard way is not because you see on YouTube people doing long trips, going to dangerous places and maybe even extreme temperatures, you can do it as well, because you don't know the background of that guy. You don't know how much he had trained to gain that endurance and his skill. So always go step by step. And as I always say, hike your hike. Do what makes you comfortable. For example, go 10 kilometers or 5 first, 10. And then, if you are comfortable, go more. And always have a plan B. Because weather is always, you cannot choose the weather, right? One of the best benefits of the solo camping is that makes you go back in time when our ancestors used to do this as part of their living routine. And doing like a today camping trip alone makes me feel more accomplished. So I think this helps a lot with your mental health. Now I made it to my car. My car is there. I really enjoyed this solo adventure for the solo series. I am Pierre Farrugia from Malta, Europe. And I'm looking forward for the next one. And as always, two things. Hike your hike and leave no trace.